We have reconvened from the executive session and our 7 p.m. shout out to frontline workers. And I want to thank everyone who is working so hard to serve us during the pandemic. We now have this new tradition of prior to our pledge of doing a shout out from each of our elected officials. And so my shout out tonight is for someone that we've already recognized, Michael Pelessier, our communications and technology coordinator. Michael has been working 7 days a week, putting in long hours to make sure not only do we get the information out to the public, but we have all the virtual platforms so that committees can meet and business goes on. This is extensive work, especially as it relates to planning and zoning boards. Michael has become the expert for public Zoom meetings, providing assistance to neighboring municipalities and running a webinar for the New Jersey Municipal Managers Association. Everything that is thrown Michael's way, he takes on with a smile and asks no questions. He just makes it happen. During this crisis, many borough staff have stepped forward, but just like Marlene Dolan, our April Employee of the Month, Michael has leaped forward, and for that reason, he is Madison's May Employee of the Month. Congratulations, Michael Pelessier, and thank you for all you're doing. Council President Carmela Vitale, your shout out.
Thank you, Mayor. On behalf of the Madison businesses, Mayor and Council, Downtown Development, and the Chamber of Commerce, we want to acknowledge and give a special thank you to all the residents that opened their hearts to the plight of the small businesses in Madison and contributed towards the Business Recovery Grant Program. The grants that have been given are important to making sure our town remains viable, and we support them. As the application states, they are our friends and our neighbors. In a time when it can be difficult for many people to make a contribution, it is a testimony to this town that we understand how important this grant program is to Madison. Another reason we are #1 place to live in the state of New Jersey. The DDC is supporting the donations by matching up to $50,000, and so far they have received $71,259 from 374 individual donors. The goal is $200,000, and including the $50,000 from the Downtown Development Commission, the amount received as of today is $121,259. So if you have not contributed, you still have time. So I'd also like to include all the residents who constantly support the businesses by buying from them online, ordering takeout, and understanding how important the businesses in Madison are. So we as mayor and council especially say thank you to all, and we're not surprised the residents of Madison always come through. Thank you, Mayor.
Astrid.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. I'd like to give a shout out to moms and dads. Yesterday was Mother's Day, a celebration of moms for all that they do. In June, we will celebrate Father's Day. Tonight, though, I want to thank all moms and dads who are dealing with this pandemic that has turned our lives upside down. We have now been living with the pandemic for 2 months. Parents, we know you are juggling jobs, or in some cases losing them or being furloughed, juggling the demands of online schooling, meanwhile keeping your families fed, clothed, and safe. I have 4 children, 3 of whom are married with children. They are all frustrated, anxious, and tired. They are concerned that their children are losing out in so many ways because of this coronavirus. So I say to them and to you, moms and dads, you are doing a great job under very trying circumstances, and we thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Maureen Byrne.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight, I want to shout out to our volunteer ambulance corps members. They are on the forefront of this pandemic, responding to the medical emergency needs of Madison and putting themselves in harm's way to make sure the Madison community remains safe. The ambulance corps has risen to meet the challenge of COVID-19, but that's not. The corps has been keeping Madison safe for over 65 years. Thank you to the corps for all you do to keep Madison safe and healthy.
Thank you. John Hoover.
Thank you, Mayor. This is the time of virtual, digital, and visual communications. And it is the time when caring people see an opportunity to serve and step up. Leslie Redinger has a business called L. Redlinger Photography. She has offered to donate her services to the Madison Chamber of Commerce to create a project called The Store Next Door to generate support for local small businesses. She wishes to photograph small business owners in their store doorways and post the photos as a way to raise awareness of the Madison, New Jersey Small Business Recovery Grant Program and as another way to get people to shop locally. Thank you, Leslie, for thinking and acting creatively and for contributing to the health and well-being of the #1 best town in New Jersey. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Deb Cohen.
Tonight, my shout out is for Lisa Ellis. I could go on for a really long time about all she's done, but just in the 2 months, she has organized the recovery grant for small businesses and is working on processing the applications. She worked with Boxcar to bring the weekly delivery here on Wednesdays as well with others. But she also led the coordination with the schools once we got the anonymous donation to help those families out. She's been using I Love Madison Facebook page to promote Madison businesses as well as any of the many ways that we're all trying to raise money for various things. She's focusing on the farmers market, how to open that with social distancing in June. The Business Creativity Conference, which you'll be hearing more in a little bit about. She helped organize that, keeping the DDC going, talking to businesses about what their concerns are, what they're looking for, continuing to work with the Community Arts Center to ensure that whenever they can open, that they're ready to go and have what they need. Like I said, I could continue to go on and on. She's an asset to the downtown, to the borough, and we really appreciate you, Lisa.
Thank you. And Rachel Ehrlich.
Thank you, Mayor. This week, I want to give a shout out to Jim Mattina, the department head of our electric utility. The mayor, council, and administration were delighted but not surprised to receive a message last week from a resident who had requested that Mr. Mattina come lend his expertise to a situation she was having on her street. As the resident wrote to us, quote, "He came right over and was so helpful. He promised he would look into it and get back to me. He was thorough and didn't put me to the bottom of his to-do list." She was surprised when Mr. Mattina got back to her quickly with a solution to the problem. Quote, "He didn't forget me, didn't think I was overreacting, didn't dismiss me, and didn't give up. He was kind, understanding, and just a nice guy who helped a Madison neighbor. So if you see him, please tell him how much he is appreciated and what a difference a nice act of kindness made." So thank you, Jim Mattina, for affirming once again that the professionalism of our electric utility department is one of the things that does make Madison great, and that small acts of courtesy and kindness make all the difference, especially in trying times like these. I also want to say a special thanks to the mayor this week. Your frequent video updates to the people of Madison are so heartfelt, well-crafted, and really informational. And your Mother's Day message was especially touching. So I want to thank you, Mayor Conley, for bringing your leadership, your creativity, and professionalism, especially your sincerity to the role of mayor in this unprecedented time. Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you very much. Thank you. In honor of all our heroes and our country, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I want to take a moment to recognize a few more people we sadly have lost in the past 2 weeks. In a few minutes, we'll be passing a resolution in honor of Union Beach Mayor Paul Smith, who passed away on April 30th. Paul served 24 years on the Union Beach Borough Council and was elected mayor in 2007. And many of us in Madison really got to know him during the time that Madison partnered with Union Beach in a recovery from Superstorm Sandy. Mayor Smith and I became good friends back to that time. We were both in our first year as mayor. He was a friend to all and will be truly missed to all that know him. Also a lifelong Madison resident, Dominick Dimarzo, died on April 26th due to complications due to COVID-19. He was 83. Dickie was born in Madison in January 1937, raised in a large family of 9 children, was a graduate of Madison High School, also St. Vincent Martyr School, and a lifelong parishioner of St. Vincent Martyr. Dickie entered the United States Army, served our country for several years as continued service in the Army Reserves, being honorably discharged in 1962. He met the love of his life, Margaret Rose Margie Yarusi of Summit. They married and settled in Madison. For many years, he was a proprietor and operator of Poor Herbie's restaurant before the Mullins ran it, and also played a major role in other area establishments, including the Widow Brown Inn in Madison. Dickie was involved in Madison community for his entire life and a founding member of the North Star Athletic Club. I remember him personally for many years at the Y, Main Street Subs and around town, always very upbeat. And he was known to be a strong-willed survivor. One of the stories is that he fell out the back of an ambulance. So, you know, it's not a good day when you're in the ambulance to begin with, but to fall out the back. And he rallied and bounced back and continued to do that until this past week. He was predeceased by his wife, Margaret, in August. And then Carrie Romano died at the age of 91 on May 1st. Carrie was born in Madison in July of 1928. The oldest of 5 children of the Dimarzo family, Rose, Lucille, Joseph, and Dominic, were children of Sam and Lucy Dimarzo. Carrie married the late Anthony Romano in November of 1947. She graduated from St. Vincent Martyr School, attended Madison High School. She worked for New Jersey Bell, Fairleigh Dickinson, and eventually Sheridan Plow. Loving mother, grandmother, aunt, and excellent friend and faithful woman. She's survived by her 2 devoted sons, Anthony and Sam, and proud and loving grandmother to 4. She leaves behind her sisters, Rose Ferdinand, Lucille Esposito, and sister-in-law, Florence Dimarzo. So let us take a moment to remember Mayor Smith, Dickie Dimarzo, and Carrie Romano. Our thoughts are with them and all the families who lost loved ones this past week. Thank you. Okay, there are no minutes for approval tonight. We'll bring it at next meeting. Couple things going on. Today is the 85th birthday of Joe DiBiase, the retired owner of Central Lunch. For those remember that establishment, his parents had opened it up in the 1920s, and he ran it until about a year and a half ago. We send our greetings out to Joe. This past Saturday, I attended the virtual Drew University graduation on Saturday. It turned out to be a nice day, but it was even better the fact that they don't have to worry about the snow that arrived later in the day. So it was certainly a very interesting event. And I want to send my congratulations not only to the Drew University graduation class, but Fairleigh Dickinson and St. Elizabeth's, and all of the graduates of the college class of 2020, including Jeb Burnett, the son of our CFO, Jim. You know, your commencement and celebration is certainly not what you expected for all those graduates, but don't let that take it away from your accomplishment. You have worked hard to get to this point, and you'll be back to your campus and celebrating before you know it. Something else going on a couple of weeks ago, or during the past week, was our creativity conference, which has already been mentioned, and we'll be talking about that shortly. I have 2 proclamations. And we'll start with National Police Week, and we'll bring up Chief Datchison virtually. Okay, he doesn't have a camera, so we will just envision Chief here, but he will be saying a few words in a couple of minutes. This is a proclamation for National Police Week, May 10th through May 16th. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th as Peace Officers Memorial Day, the day that honors all peace officers who have died in the line of duty, and the week in which it falls is Police Week. Whereas the names of law enforcement officers who have been killed in the line of duty are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C. And whereas the members of the Madison Police Department play an essential role in preserving the rights and freedoms of the citizens of Madison. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems and duties and responsibilities of the police department, and that the members of the Madison Police Department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence or disorder, and by protecting innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. And whereas the Madison Police Department is a modern and scientific law enforcement agency which unceasingly provides the vital public service as evidenced by a commitment and dedication of its members during the COVID-19 pandemic crisis. Now, therefore, I, Robert H. Conley, Mayor of Borough of Madison, on behalf of the governing body, proclaim May 10th through May 16th as National Police Week in the Borough of Madison and publicly salute the service of the law enforcement officers in our community and the communities across the nation. And I will pass this off to our chief and ask him to say a few words. Oh, okay, we may not be able to pull the chief on here. He's, so, all right. If we, yep, if we're able to get him, we'll bring him on. I do have another proclamation to present, and we were all set to have someone from the ambulance corps accept this proclamation, but in the last half hour, they were called out and they were responding as they often do. When the alarm sounds, they are ready to respond. And this is for Emergency Medical Services Week, May 17th through May 23rd, 2020. Whereas Emergency Medical Services, EMS, is a vital public service, and whereas members of the emergency medical service teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Whereas the Madison Volunteer Ambulance Corps has provided years of service at no cost to the residents through dedicated volunteers, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate for those experiencing sudden illness or injury. And whereas the emergency medical services system consists of first responders, emergency medical technicians, paramedics, emergency medical dispatchers, firefighters, police officers, educators, administrators, pre-hospital nurses, emergency physicians, trained members of the public, and others out of the public medical care, out of hospital medical care providers, sorry. Whereas the members of the emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continued education to enhance their life-saving skills. And whereas it's appropriate to recognize the value and accomplishments of emergency medical services provided by designated Emergency Medical Services Week. And whereas emergency medical services providers have demonstrated commitment and extraordinary efforts during the COVID-19 pandemic crisis. Now, therefore, I, Robert H. Conley, the Mayor of Borough of Madison, on behalf of the governing body, do hereby proclaim May 17th through the 23rd as Emergency Medical Services Week in recognition for all those engaged in medical services. So here's the proclamation, and please, just as Maureen did in her shout out, thank our our ambulance corps and all those that are first responders in medical emergencies. All right, one more thing is I'm going to read resolution R136 and then ask our council president to move it. And this is R136 resolution, the Borough of Madison, in memory of Union Beach Mayor Paul Smith, Jr. Whereas Mayor Paul Smith was serving his third term as mayor in Union Beach, New Jersey, a town of 6,000 residents located in the Raritan Bay. And whereas he previously served 24 years on the Union Beach Council in a town which he grew up and loved. Whereas a co-founder of the local basketball recreation programs, the girls softball league, he volunteered for 30 years as coach and commissioner for the Union Beach Keyport Little League. Whereas his greatest challenge during his tenure as mayor was rebuilding Union Beach after destruction of Superstorm Sandy on October 29, 2012. And whereas honored to be named to President Barack Obama's Sandy Rebuilding Task Force, Mayor Smith never missed a meeting. And whereas in 2013, Mayor Smith presented former President Jimmy Carter with a key to the borough for his work with Habitat for Humanity, rebuilding 13 Union Beach homes in one weekend. And whereas a strong bond developed between Union Beach and the Borough of Madison when Borough of Madison provided construction assistance to Union Beach rebuilding efforts and the friendship exists still today. And just to remind everyone, every home in Union Beach was affected by that storm. And now there be resolved by the Borough Council of the Borough of Madison extends condolences to the family of Union Beach Mayor Paul Smith and expresses appreciation for his dedication, commitment, and efforts on behalf of the residents of Union Beach. May I have a motion?
Mayor, I move Resolution 136-2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. And we will be forwarding a copy of that to Union Beach and Mayor Smith's family. Again, our thoughts and prayers are with him this difficult time. And now on to reports from committees. Finance and Borough Clerk, Council President Vitale.
Thank you, Mayor. From the Tax Collector's Office, back in early April, Council had changed the interest rate charged on all delinquent taxes to 0%. That waiver has since been changed. The governor issued Executive Order 130, which stated that municipalities were not permitted to set interest rates in that manner. The executive order did allow governing bodies to extend the grace period for second quarter taxes, property tax payments until June the 1st. The council held a public meeting via Zoom on Friday, May 1st to discuss and vote on the resolution 133-2020. This resolution extended the grace period on delinquent taxes from May 10th to June 1st. I'm happy to report that the council voted unanimously to extend the grace period. As of today, we have 593 properties that have not paid their second quarter taxes. This is very important. Payment on those properties must be received by June 1st. If not, then the accounts will receive interest charges back to the original May 1st due date. Letters will be mailed out tomorrow to all the 593 property owners to make sure that they're aware of the changes. I think it is important to note that about tax collection. Because of the coronavirus and the economic slowdown, the collection of property tax rates have been a significant concern for many municipalities across the country. Our finance team has been tracking our tax collection on a daily basis and comparing it to prior years. As of today, the borough has collected 87.49% of the second quarter property taxes. Over the prior 5 years, our collection percentage on May 11th has been anywhere from 88% to 94%. So our collections are off slightly, but we believe that is due to the extension of the grace period that I talked about a few minutes ago. From the finance department, for many years, the council has discussed the need for surplus to help the borough during rainy days. Well, right now it's raining hard and we don't know exactly when it's going to end. The global pandemic has had a negative impact on many municipalities. Some towns had to furlough employees and increase taxes by 6% or more. Fortunately, Madison was in a strong financial position when the pandemic started, so hopefully we won't need to do that. While our tax collection is off a little, we have enough cash flow to keep paying the bills and keep all the borough employees employed. Speaking of cash flow, this week we have to make a quarterly tax payment of $2.8 million to the county. We also have to make a $3.5 million monthly payment to the Board of Education this week as well. Because of our strong financial position, we have no problem making those payments. The finance department will continue to update the council on revenue collections, cash flow, and other important metrics. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And public safety, Ms. Bailey.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. From the fire department, they have responded this month to 10 general alarms, 15 still alarms, 26 investigations. The big number is 39 EMS calls. And we just want to wish Madison volunteer firefighter Dominick Dimarzo well. He is in the Navy, he's a Navy reservist who has just been called up to active duty. And we thank him for his dedication service to our nation. And we wish Dominick and his fellow seamen safe deployment and look forward to having them return home soon. That's from the fire department. From the police department, just continue to maintain social distancing, obey the laws that Governor Murphy has put in place to protect us all, and be safe. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. In public works and engineering, Ms. Byrne.
Thank you, Mayor. First off, garbage pickup is going to twice a week this week, so you can put your garbage out a second time. DPW was busy putting up the police unity banners in honor of National Police Week. They continue servicing and repairing borough vehicles, maintaining the parks and sewer system. The recycling center at the John Street DPW is completed, and we hope to have it open sometime in the next 2 weeks. From engineering and roads, the paving of Kings Road parking lot was completed on Tuesday, and striping was completed on Thursday. Curb and drainage improvements were installed at the Ambulance Corps and Prospect Street parking lot with DPW assistance. Foundation, wiring, and utility pole for a dual electric vehicle charging station was installed between the Prospect and Maple parking lots. Cedar, DeHart, Walnut, and Alexander Street were also repaved last week. As you remember, we were trying to take advantage of the fact that these parking lots were on school districts. The schools were out of session. We took advantage of the time to take care of them. Currently, Cross Gates, East Lane, and West Lane are being paved, as Councilwoman Ostrey Bailey can attest to. And we are looking out to do Peachtree, Alma, Rachel, and Roscoe later this week, weather permitting. From the water department, Jomed Construction will begin Highland Avenue water main replacement, weather permitting. That should be done within 30 days. The new Dodge Fieldhouse foundation work will begin this month with an estimated completion time of 3 months. And finally, from the Shade Tree Commission, following up on the recently passed tree ordinance, the town now has an arborist, Richard Rolowitz, who has been retained to advise the borough about the condition of trees proposed to be cut down in the borough. Residents are allowed to remove up to 2 trees with diameters of less than 12 inches in a 2-year period. For trees exceeding that diameter, or for multiples of 3 or more, permits are required and will be issued in consultation with the arborist. That's my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And community affairs, Mr. Hoover.
Thank you, Mayor. For seniors, since the Senior Shopping Network launched on March 23rd, it has 130 volunteers and completed 200 shopping trips for about 125 families in Madison. MACTA has also launched a senior buddy program to match people who would like to talk with listeners, talkers. For the Director of Downtown Business Development and Downtown Development Commission, so far, as Council President Vitale had said, so far $121,409 has been contributed to the Madison, New Jersey Small Business Recovery Grant Program to mitigate the severe economic damage caused by global COVID-19 pandemic to our business community. $50,000 has been matched by the Madison Main Street Foundation. The goal is to raise a total of $200,000. 65 applications have been submitted by the April 30th deadline. The grant steering committee, comprised of the DDC chair, Madison Area Chamber of Commerce, and the Madison Main Street Foundation Board of Trustees, is currently reviewing the applications. The applications were all reviewed last week, And this week, May 11th to May 15th, they're going to communicate the decisions. From May 15th to June 15th, the grants will be distributed. Sign up for the Madison Marketplace newsletter to stay connected with our local businesses during the crisis. There is a sign-up link on the I Love Madison, New Jersey Facebook page. The new date for May Day in Madison will be announced this week. Donations are still being requested to help defray the cost of the flower baskets, which will be hung as usual downtown. The Madison Farmers Market start date has been revised and is now scheduled to open on Thursday, June 11th. Contracts have been sent to vendors. Social distancing and other new health and safety precautions will be instituted as required. It will run through November 19th. The market is relocating to Dodge Field, and the hours will be the same from 2 to 7. A door next door photo program to promote the GoFundMe grant program and to promote shopping in small Madison will be conducted. I had mentioned that before. Chamber of Commerce, the fire extinguisher inspection program is scheduled for Tuesday, June 9th from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. The Chamber Board continues to meet virtually every 2 weeks to keep everybody updated. The Madison Community Arts Center, there was a lot of inquiries about using the Arts Center, and all of them are contingent upon the reopening date. There will be an American Red Cross blood drive at the Arts Center on Tuesday, June 2nd from 2 to 7, restrictions permitting. Research continues on outfitting the Arts Center with grids, lights, and sound. Final proposals should be received by the end of the month, and depending on the current situation, work could begin this summer. MACA's annual fundraiser is still being planned for Saturday, September 19th, date pending reopening and allowing sufficient time to prepare. The Museum of Early Trades and Crafts. While the museum is closed to the public, the staff continues to work with grantors, architects, and conservationists on the preservation of the James Library building. The museum is working very hard to provide digital content for history engagement and virtual field trips that is used by schools and parents during the COVID-19 crisis. Since people cannot visit in person, there is a great deal of content on their website, and I would urge you to look at it. The museum is very concerned about the museum's future and continues to create innovative ways to continue to operate without visitors and field trips. MACA. MACA is the Madison Arts and Culture Alliance, is exploring ways to incorporate live streaming of music via the revised MACA website. Eventually, as restrictions are eased, they might be able to utilize the Art Center for concerts and art shows to be streamed without an audience present. These would be pay-per-view events to generate revenue for the center, much like ticket sales would accomplish. This may be the way artistic events will occur until audiences can gather in close proximity. It's being done increasingly by artists all over the world using various platforms like Facebook and Zoom. Recreation Advisory Committee. Softball has heard from 40% of its program families with an overwhelming 95% interest across grades K-8 in summer softball. They're also beginning to get responses to the Bi-Country League 24 local communities survey regarding interest in summer softball. There's tremendous pent-up demand across the area. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And Health, Ms. Cohen.
Okay. Once again, let's start off with some good news. In the northern and central parts of the state, we have seen positive indicators as it relates to the number of new cases, as well as a reduction in hospitalizations, use of ICU beds, and ventilators. As the peak is now clearly behind us, state and local health departments and other state agencies are very much looking forward to updated guidance for easing the executive order restrictions, as well as plans for expanded contact tracing and testing schemes. However, no major tactical details have been announced to date. A reminder that for now, the stay-at-home order and restrictions around non-essential businesses largely remains unchanged. Beginning today, the health department will issue COVID-19 case updates 3 days a week on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Moving forward, the department will report active cases in addition to our cumulative case totals. As we know, the health department continues to monitor cases, but a number of our neighbors have successfully largely overcome their COVID-19. As of today, Madison reports 128 total cases of COVID-19. 54 of those are associated with long-term care facilities. This week, health department staff will be conducting follow-up recovery interviews with approximately 65 community members who were first reported to the department more than 21 days ago. The Madison Health Department wants to remind residents that they should not delay seeking emergency medical attention. Hospitals are well equipped to protect you from infection if you need to seek treatment for emergencies such as heart attack or stroke. If you experience chest pain, shortness of breath, change in vision, slurred speech, or other signs of a medical emergency, call 911 right away. A few final reminders. Morris County continues to operate a public COVID-19 testing site, which is available in Madison residents at free of charge. This site is at the County College of Morris in Randolph. For more information and to make an appointment, visit health.morriscountynj.gov/COVID testing. Other private healthcare providers in our area, such as Summit Medical Group and Atlantic Health, also have testing available. Please visit their website for details, availability, and restrictions, or consult with your own healthcare provider. Finally, some important reminders that echo what we have heard time and time again while this public health emergency has been impacting our lives. Remain at home whenever you can. When you do go out for essential needs, practice social distancing. That is keeping at least 6 feet from people outside your household as much as is practical. When inside essential businesses, wear a face covering. Remember, a face covering around your chin protects no one. Face covering should cover both the nose and mouth. If you choose to wear gloves when shopping or in other locations, they should be changed often, including when changing tasks or locations. Gloves and disposable masks should be placed in trash bins, not discarded along sidewalks or parking lots. Wash your hands often with soap or water. Refrain from touching your face. If you feel unwell, stay home. Further isolate yourself from other members of your household and consult your doctor. While you are physically distant from your friends and extended family, stay connected and check on those around you via phone, video chat, or text message, especially true for those of you people you know living alone or who may be elderly. Continue to enjoy the outdoors and fresh air when you can. While walking, jogging, or biking in your neighborhood, follow the rules of the road, but also maintain social distancing, even well beyond 6 feet if you can. If an area in your neighborhood looks particularly busy with those exercising, consider waiting for another time or choosing another location. Parents, continue to set a good example for our younger generation on social distancing and explain to your children the importance of it when they might be otherwise out of the home. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And utilities, Ms. Ehrlich.
Thank you, Mayor. From the Electric Department, as of Wednesday, April 29th, the Electric Department is back to full duty, meaning that all crew are reporting daily and are once again split into 2 crews working from different locations to maintain social distancing. Over the last 2 weeks, there are a number of call-outs to remove limbs and trees from wires, to repair fuse and cutout boxes, and in one case, to erect a temporary pole when a car accident caused a down pole on Spring Garden Drive. In the meantime, the department continues to replace streetlights and perform markouts all over town. And on rainy days, the department works in-house on fixing our broken Victorian streetlight heads so that they may be reused in the future. From the Water Department repaired a fire hydrant on Crestwood Avenue following a car accident that damaged it, and also dug and repaired a curb box valve on Sherwood Ave so the resident could make plumbing repairs. The department marked out all of the water utility locations for the lower half of Highland Avenue in preparation for the new 8-inch water main and hydrants, and the new services being replaced starting next week. And the department also marked out or raised the valve boxes on Walnut Street to Hart Place and Cedar Street in preparation for the milling and paving of those roads, which Councilwoman Byrne mentioned earlier. That's all for utilities.
Thank you. Any communications or petitions?
None received, Mayor.
Right now we are on our first invitations for discussion. I'm going to go through the guidelines for that in just a second, but this one is limited to the agenda discussion item, which is a business creativity conference update. So you may comment on that, or you may comment on the following resolutions. If you want to comment on anything else, you must wait until later in the meeting. The resolutions that are part of the consent agenda include Resolution 134, disbursement of Jacob Henry Perkins Trust of amount $1,340 to a family in need for rent. Sorry, pages are sticking. 135 is a resolution authorizing submission of Morris County Historic Preservation Trust grant application for architectural plans and specifications for the restoration of the Masonic Lodge. And we've already appropriated $12,000 for towards a matching grant of $48,000. Resolution 136 is the one we've just passed shortly ago, was the recognizing Mayor Paul Smith of Union Beach. Resolution 137 is authorizing settlement of county tax board and state court tax court appeals on behalf of the Borough of Madison. And this is provided the reduction does not exceed the lesser of 15% of the original assessment or $3,000 in annual taxes. Resolution 138 is supporting sustainable land use pledge. This is a resolution that the borough has supported in 2010 and again in 2016. Resolution 139 is awarding a contract to James Irish Inc. for control and removal of invasive species from the wetlands area of the Madison Recreation Complex. This is not to exceed $3,600 and was funded through Ordinance 21-2019. Resolution 140 is acceptance of a settlement agreement with a borough employee. Resolution 141 is authorizing Sustainable Madison Advisory Committee to submit a grant application from the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for matching grants program, and this is for an all-electric senior citizen van. So hopefully that will come to fruition. And Resolution 142 is increasing the hours per week for Bonnie Mulcahy, who was originally hired via Resolution 194, 2016, position of part-time recycling monitor. She's also been supporting utility billing and meter reading. The expansion of the soon-to-be open new recycling center warrants this expansion of the position. Resolution 143 is requesting the Director of Local Government Services to approve an insertion of a line of revenue for the year 2020, since we've already approved our budget for this year. This is a $10,000 grant that we're receiving from Sustainable Jersey Garden Grant Program. And then another amendment to the budget, Resolution 144, is insertion of item of revenue. And this is for $30,000 from the It Pays to Plug New Jersey Electric Vehicle Charging Station grant. And so that will be included in our resolution. So you may comment on any of those resolutions or the creativity conference, and please follow these instructions. Again, there'll be another invitation for discussion later on in the meeting if you want to comment on other things. If you are online, please raise your hand by clicking the hand, and if you're on the phone, you can be recognized by hitting *9. Note that for security reasons, we cannot recognize anyone listed as anonymous or a call without a number identified. When you are recognized and unmuted, you must state your name and address before starting any comments. Failure to do so may result in you being muted or disconnected. Please try to keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, but you'll be given a 1 minute grace period and stopped at 4 minutes. And if there are any questions in your comments, we capture those and answer it at the end so we don't take away from your time. Is there anyone in the public wishing to comment on the resolutions or that one agenda item? Okay, seeing none, we close this part of the meeting. And we now move on to the agenda discussion, business creativity conference update. We'll have Lisa Ellis join us in just a second to set this up. As mentioned before, working with Lisa Ellis, we put together this creativity conference with business leaders in the community with the idea of we will be sharing or anticipating the reopening of businesses, and it's going to be a different world. And so we went through what that world may look like, and then some of the ideas that may make Madison be successful once again. Right now, these are all suggestions, and we're not taking action on any of these, but we will see that coming up in the coming weeks and months as we get closer to reopening and re-energizing our downtown. Lisa?
Thank you, Mayor. Next slide, please. Okay, we had a great discussion, as the Mayor just mentioned, and some of the assumptions that guided the discussion have to do with what a reopened business community will look like. We figured during the phased reopening that there will still be many state and or county enforced guidelines, including things like reduced occupancy, especially restrictive guidelines for fitness and personal care facilities, required PPE, reluctance to be in public areas, that's on the behalf of the consumer, reduced disposable income, also on the consumer. After we figure the next phase, we'll still, we will not be back to our old normal, but guidelines will relax. PPE will probably still be required in some areas. And the consumer is still going to have some reluctance to be in public areas. We probably will see reduced disposable income for quite a while. Shopping routines will take a long time and may never go back to exactly the way they were. And of course, they're talking about a possible rebound of the virus next fall. So those are sort of the guiding principles to the discussion. It was a very open and lively discussion. We had a lot of great comments and recommendations. I culled through all of them, and we were able to put them into 4 different buckets. The first one being commerce, then we had communication, marketing, health, and safety. Next slide, please. Almost all of these under the commerce heading have to do with ways in which to expand in-person shopping in an age where capacities are going to be reduced, etc. So we looked at things like allowing and facilitating outdoor shopping, as in sidewalk sales, fitness classes in parks and or in larger civic facilities, closing off streets, parking spaces, and parking areas to allow for expanded outdoor dining and shopping, health plan logistics for increased delivery and curbside pickup. A particularly interesting one, aggregate online shopping through a single website or app, more likely a website, either under ilovemadisonnj.com, or the Chamber is also in the process of updating their website, and my understanding is that platform could work for something like this very well. Still looking into that, and more to come. Also, almost to a person, all businesses understand that there's going to continue to be a use of virtual mediums for commerce, whether that's in classes, learning experiences, digital programming, and the future possibility of integrating those with in-store experiences. I know you've probably all heard medicine too is kind of going down this road with telemed, etc. So there's a lot of potential there. Next slide. I think everyone understands the importance of communication and about how it has to be clear, consistent, and delivered through multi-channels. And that includes, any updates, any changes to rules and regulations. And we all felt that it should continue through our existing communication platforms, which are all the Borough website and social media accounts, as well as the I Love Madison NJ media accounts, social, and our newsletters, etc. So I think that was more that we need to do what we're doing and to a higher degree and keep improving it as we go. It was also noted that many businesses will rely on their individual national organizations for advice on protocols, reopening safety, and that the rest of us can probably look to leverage some of that information a little bit more broadly where it will make sense. Next slide. Marketing. Probably, one of the most important things we can do sort of as a business community, that's through my office, through the Downtown Development Commission, and through the Chamber of Commerce, is to help provide free marketing opportunities for our businesses, which we already do through the Madison Marketplace newsletter and on the I Love Madison NJ Facebook page. So how do we leverage that and make that even better? So we talked about creating business spotlights to be featured on the page. First step would be to reach out to businesses to find out how they would like to participate, within social distancing guidelines, of course, but whether that's a recorded Zoom chat, Facebook Live, kind of I know we can also do like multi-store Zoom open houses, which has already been done and I think will be done again. A lot of businesses are figuring this out on their own, partnering with each other and coming up with creative ideas. We also talked a little bit about leveraging some of the DDC marketing budget to perhaps help in print media, et cetera, a mailing, that going back to the multi-channels, you really have to hit people every way you possibly can. We also talked a little bit about leveraging Instagram more broadly. That's a little bit harder of a medium to use in that it doesn't allow you to share quite as easily, but we need to find a better way to use that. And somebody brought up the great idea of encouraging businesses to collaborate online on online events and shopping packages, grouping dinner, wine and flowers, or any combination you can possibly think of. And then next slide, the final area, clearly something on everybody's mind these days, health and safety. We have to make sure everybody understands and has the tools necessary to conform with whatever social distancing, PPE protocols, et cetera, come down from the state. We also, if possible, either help provide or help source the necessary PPE for businesses. Someone suggested, I thought this was a great idea, creating a standard safe shopping logo that would be displayed in windows, showing that businesses were conforming to whatever health department guidelines, et cetera. Somebody suggested the health department provide tutorials on proper use of PPE, cleaning and disinfecting, and the concept of friendly marshals to help manage queuing in tight areas and general social distancing compliance. And then I think we're already there, but anything we can do to help create an image of a very clean and healthy downtown. These are all wonderful ideas, but I think until we hear from the governor as far as what the next steps look like, I think that's causing all of our businesses a lot of anxiety. I did hear today in his daily press conference that hopefully something will be coming out this week. Our business owners need to know what the next steps look like. And I think having something concrete will go a long way to help ease some of the anxiety. Some of our next steps, we are planning a consumer survey to find out what concerns the consumer has on what the new shopping, dining, et cetera, experiences will look like. And then that the mayor wants to follow up with a focus group on consumers, getting a bunch of consumers together to have a discussion post the survey. So look for the survey coming out probably later this week. And that will be pushed out through social media, et cetera. that's all I have.
Thank you, Lisa. It was, for those that were able to watch it and participate, I think it was a very helpful process and a lot of great ideas that came out of it. We will also, as Lisa mentioned, you can come up with all the greatest ideas, but if you don't listen to those that are going to be doing the shopping, you're going to fail. So we will have that process too. I think some of the things that was guiding principle that the whole thing is, downtowns have been forever evolving. You think about, for those of us that grew up in Madison, what the downtown was like in the 1960s, and then before the malls really took over, that we had some bumps on the road, but we evolved. And that was a decades type of evolution. This is a months type of evolution. And if we don't work hard to evolve, we will fail. So but there are some things that are going in our direction. As I mentioned at the Creativity Forum, unlike what hit us in the 70s with the advent of major malls opening up, people are probably more likely to shop in open air downtowns than closed air mall experiences. And so we can capitalize on that. It is a major challenge, and Madison will rise to it. And we'll take some, I saw Deb, you had your hand up, and then we'll take other comments or questions from the council.
Mute in two places. Okay, just a couple things. Thanks, Lisa, for that. I have to say, Paul and I went out for a walk yesterday and walked downtown, and it was really nice. We decided McCool's was open, and we had our masks, so we went in, we got ice cream, and then we were able to sit on the bench just like normal, which was really kind of nice that they were out, and hopefully people can abide by obviously sticking with family members on the bench. So that was nice. Just a couple of other comments. I think we need to, I'm all for closing. I know there, I think closing streets has potentially a great idea, and depending on which ones, but we also need to be cognizant of parking issues. If people are driving to come eat, we want to encourage them to come downtown to eat, but they need a place to park. And while they can walk from the Kings Road lot or Prospect lot, it may be more likely if they can park closer. So I think it's just something we need to watch, although I like the idea. Lisa, what is EDDM?
It's those large-scale postal mailings.
Okay.
Bulk rate.
Right. Yep. And then the other thought I had for non-electronic ways to market for those people that do not have access or whatever, especially in our senior centers or Chateau Thierry or places like that, making big posters with information on them of updates or things so that people know. Just, there are people even my age that don't pay attention to social media, but at least then it's there, and they might, while they're standing around waiting for something else, they might be reading and going, oh, okay, I can do this now, or this is how they're doing this, or this is something new to try. So just a thought on that. But I sat in on the conference. It was very interesting to hear the creativity, and being on Facebook, I can tell you some businesses are actually now sharing each other's posts, which was discussed that night, to kind of help widen the audience of who's reaching and seeing what businesses are doing takeout, delivery, curbside, all of that stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. And some good points there of, often people may think they're in competition with the store down the street, but in the times like this, you work together, because it is together that we will succeed. We also, part of one of the ground rules we had with the creativity conference was, all ideas are good. We're throwing them on the wall. This was not the time to say, but what did you think about this, or did you think about that? No, it was the time to get those ideas. And then if we go to that next phase of, for example, closing the street. Okay, what are the pros and cons, and how do we do it, and what will be the true outcome? And for those that are in the negative category of closing the street, how can they be offset, or do you just change the way you do it? So those are all sort of things to come. Other comments or questions? Thank you very much, Lisa, for that presentation. Again, a lot to come, and we'll probably see some action if not the next council meeting, certainly the following council meeting at the latest. But there are some things, and there will be some surprises. Carmela mentioned before how we lowered the interest rate on property taxes through the end of July to find out that we couldn't do it, but we wanted to be ahead of the game on that, so we went ahead did that. And so there might be some things that we will jump out ahead, and then may have to revise. But that's how we succeed, by trying to be ahead of it all. We are now moving on to ordinances for hearing, and will the clerk please read the statement?
The ordinance scheduled for hearing was introduced by title and passed on a first reading at the regular meeting of the council held on April 27, 2020, was posted and filed according to law, and copies were made available to the general public requesting same.
I call up ordinance 14-2020 for second reading. Ask the clerk to read said ordinance by title.
Ordinance 14, 2020, ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $200,000 from the General Capital Improvement Fund for additional 2020 milling and overlay projects.
I open hearing to the public with the same guidelines before. If you're going to comment on this ordinance, you must state your name and address first. Are there any members of the public wishing to comment on this ordinance alone? Seeing none, I close the hearing.
Mayor, I move ordinance 14-2020.
Second.
Any council discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Vitale,
Yes.
Ms. Bailey,
Yes.
Ms. Byrne,
Yes.
Mr. Hoover,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Hurley.
Yes.
I declare ordinance 14-2020 adopted and finally passed, and ask the clerk to publish notice thereof in the newspaper and file the ordinance in accordance with the law. And now we're on to our second time invitation for discussion. This is when you may comment on any topic. Again, the guidelines: if you are online, raise your hand by clicking the hand on Zoom. If you are on the phone, you hit *9. And for security reasons, we will not recognize anyone listed as anonymous or a call without a phone number identified. When you are recognized and unmuted, you must state your name and address before starting any comments. Failure to do so may result in you being muted or disconnected. You've got 3 minutes to please finish your comments, but you will be given a 1-minute grace period and asked to stop at 4. And if there are any questions, as always, we will capture those and get those after your discussion. Any members of the public wishing to comment, please raise your hand or hit *9 now. All right, Stephen Shaw, we will be unmuting you.
Mayor, this is freeholder Stephen Shaw from 4 Point View Place in Mountain Lakes. How are you?
Welcome. I saw your name on the list there. I was wondering if it was the one and the same, so thank you for joining us.
Yes, well, that's one thing this pandemic with all the remote meetings has enabled me to do, is drop in on public meetings across the county. I think this is number 18 for me. My wife thinks I'm a little nuts when I retreat to my computer in the basement and listen in on council meetings. But really, I'll keep it brief. I just wanted to hope that you're all doing well, and on behalf of the Freeholder Board, say thank you for everything that you're doing. I served 12 years in municipal government, 3 as mayor, and I always said that's where the rubber meets the road. And I just want to thank you for your extraordinary leadership in these extraordinary times. It's been interesting to watch the progression. I started this in mid-March when the state went on lockdown, basically, and it seems like the communities are hitting a rhythm now, handling these remote meetings. I must say yours is going very, very smoothly. And I just also want to reiterate that the county is here to help, has been operating and functioning. I was going to give it a little update, but your Councilwoman Cohen did a phenomenal job, actually, in her health update. So I'm not going to repeat any of that, other than to say the testing site, we went from doing over 350 tests with a 50% positive to about 100 tests with a 20% positive. So those are some encouraging numbers there. I also want to say that I found Lisa's update. That was very. I learned a great deal there, because the county also has a recovery task force that we started about 2 weeks ago. And actually, I was talking to Madison's own Joe Falco today about some of the issues about getting businesses open in the state and such. So you're already heading in the right direction and thinking ahead of the game. So I compliment you for that as well. And the last thing that we're just working on in the county is to try to get some CARES Act dollars. Unfortunately, Morris County falls just under the 500,000 resident thresholds. We're somewhere at 491. So we don't get any direct CARES Act funding, whereas other counties at like 508,000 residents, somewhere in the neighborhood of 88 million. So we are asking the governor for some relief there, and on a bipartisan effort there, of course. And so hopefully that will come through, because we have spent a great deal. Oh, and thank you for your tax payment. I heard that update on the finance as well. So I have been listening, and that's really all. Just thank you for your leadership. We're here to help, and stay safe.
Thank you, Freeholder. The partnership working with the county has been excellent. Certainly our weekly calls, John Banani has really provided leadership, so I appreciate everything you're doing. We are going to get through this by working together. So I appreciate you taking the time to visit us virtually, and thanks again for everything you're doing at the county level. Seeing no one else, we will close this part of the meeting and we will move on to introduction of ordinances. Will the clerk please read the statement?
The ordinance scheduled for first reading has a hearing date set for Wednesday, May the 27th, 2020. Will be published in the Madison Eagle, posted on the bulletin board, and made available to members of the public requesting copies.
I call up ordinance 15-2020 for first reading. Ask the borough clerk to read said ordinance by title.
Ordinance 15, 2020, ordinance of the Borough of Madison appropriating $12,500 from the General Capital Improvement Fund for the purchase of new firefighter turnout gear.
Mayor, I move ordinance 15-2020.
Second.
Any council discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Vitale,
Yes.
Miss Bailey,
Yes.
Miss Byrne,
Yes.
Mr. Hoover,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich.
Yes.
We now move on to the consent agenda resolutions. Will the clerk please read the statement?
Consent agenda resolutions will be enacted with a single motion. Any resolution requiring expenditure is supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any resolution requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. All resolutions will be reflected in full in the minutes.
Mayor, I move consent agendas. Resolutions are 134-2020 to resolution 135-2020 and resolution 137-2020 to resolution 144-2020.
Second.
Any council discussion or any resolutions that need to be pulled? Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Vitale,
Yes.
Ms. Bailey,
Yes.
Ms. Byrne,
Yes.
Mr. Hoover,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich.
Yes.
All right, there is no unfinished business. Approval of vouchers. Will the clerk please read the voucher registry?
Yes, for the current fund, we have $286,050.76. General Capital Fund, $36,421.81. Electric Operating Fund, $128,496.84. Electric Capital Fund, $1,165.06. For the Water Operating Fund, $1,986.74. And for the trust, $51,488.38. The total is $505,609.59.
Mayor, I move approval of the vouchers.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Vitale,
Yes.
Ms. Bailey,
Yes.
Ms. Byrne,
Yes.
Mr. Hoover,
Yes.
Ms. Cohen,
Yes.
Ms. Ehrlich.
Yes.
There is no new business.
Mayor, I actually have a quick announcement, if you don't mind. I just want to update the public on our master plan committee, which in lieu of an in-person open house this month, we are having a virtual open house. And Austria and I and the other steering committee members are going to be working to get the word out about the virtual open house. The site is open now for 2 weeks from today, the 11th, through May 25th. On the borough's social media pages and Borough Council website, there are posts linking to the open house. And if people need help navigating the site in order to learn and provide input, they can sign up for office hours, where members of our borough planners master plan team will be able to assist people in using the open house website. So it's an action-packed, information-packed site. There's a lot of interactive features. You can learn a lot about our borough, both the past and projections for the future. And there's many opportunities to provide feedback for every resident and business's vision for what the future of Madison could be. So I encourage everyone to visit the virtual open house website. Thank you.
I looked at it today and it is absolutely excellent. Excellent. Telling you. Great document, great construct, a lot of great content. Go for it, guys. Come on.
All
Thank
right,
you.
excellent. We'll get that word out. Thank you for sharing that. And with that, we'll go back to you
Mayor, I
again.
move that we adjourn the meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Good
Be
night.
well.
Night.
Aye.
I